asked her to marry me on the River Seine.
There was a ring that I saw 2 years ago. He went back for it and found it. Somebody bought it. He found it, bought it from them, and he proposed with it.
When David Bowie and Iman's love story began, the world was captivated. A rock legend and a supermodel, two icons who seemed untouchable. Yet their bond was deeply real. After Bowie's death in 2016, Iman vowed never to remarry, calling him her husband forever. But now, after 22 years, the daughter they shared has grown up, and the world is stunned by her transformation. Who is this young woman, and how does she carry the legacy of two legends? Their story started in 1990 when Bowie met Iman at a dinner party. For Bowie, it was love at first sight. He once confessed that he was instantly convinced she was the one he had been searching for his whole life. Iman, on the other hand, took some time to believe him. Being in the spotlight, she was cautious of falling for someone so famous. But Bowie's persistence, charm, and sincerity won her heart. By 1992, they were married in a private ceremony in Switzerland, followed later by a public celebration in Florence, Italy. The couple quickly became a symbol of love, grace, and stability in a world where celebrity marriages often crumble. Unlike many famous couples, Bowie and Iman managed to keep their private lives relatively shielded from the media. They cherished their family time, whether in their Manhattan home or their peaceful estate in upstate New York. In 2000, their love story reached another milestone with the birth of their daughter, Alexandria Lexi Zara Jones. Bowie was already a father from previous relationships, but with Lexi, it was different. Friends say she became his greatest joy in life, and Iman often described her as the bond that made their family feel complete. Growing up, Lexi was raised away from the constant flash of paparazzi. Unlike many celebrity kids, she didn't make headlines in Hollywood tabloids or chase fame in her teenage years. Instead, Iman and Bowie chose to give her as normal a childhood as possible, protecting her privacy fiercely. When Bowie passed away in 2016 after an 18-month battle with liver cancer, Lexi was only 15. The loss was devastating for both mother and daughter, but it also deepened their bond. Iman became both a mother and father figure, determined to keep Bowie's memory alive in Lexi's life. Now, as a young woman in her 20s, Lexi is slowly stepping into the public eye, and the world cannot believe how much she has transformed. With striking features inherited from both her parents, Iman's regal beauty and Bowie's unique charisma, she has become an artist in her own right. Instead of pursuing music or modeling like her parents, Lexi has chosen painting and digital art as her form of expression. Her artwork, often shared on social media, reveals a creative depth and emotional honesty that feels like a tribute to her father's artistic spirit. Despite her talent and beauty, Lexi has no interest in chasing stardom. She rarely makes public appearances and values her privacy. Just like her parents once did, fans who follow her on Instagram often describe her as down-to-earth, witty, and genuine, a refreshing contrast to the typical celebrity kid lifestyle. She posts about her art, her pets, and her everyday life, creating a connection with fans without oversharing. For many, she embodies the best of both Bowie and Iman, the artistry of her father and the strength and elegance of her mother. Iman has often spoken about how proud she is of Lexi. In interviews, she has said that her daughter reminds her every day of Bowie, not just in appearance but in spirit. Iman has also emphasized that Lexi is her own person, forging her path outside the shadows of fame. This balance, honoring her heritage while building her individuality, makes Lexi stand out in a world obsessed with celebrity legacies. The transformation of Alexandria Zara Jones is not just about growing up. It's about resilience, identity, and the continuation of a love story that once captivated the entire world. Born to David Bowie, one of the most influential musicians in history, and Iman, an iconic supermodel admired for her beauty and strength, Alexandria, affectionately known as Lexi, was destined to live in the public eye. Yet her journey has been uniquely her own. What makes her story so striking is not simply that she is the daughter of two cultural giants, but how she has quietly, gracefully, and courageously navigated life in the shadow of her parents' immense legacies, creating a path that speaks to individuality, creativity, and quiet resilience. From the moment of her birth in 2000, the world was curious about her. With Bowie's magnetic artistry and Iman's commanding elegance, many wondered how Lexi would grow, what she would inherit, and how she would carry the weight of being the child of two icons. For most celebrity children, the world's expectations can be crushing. For Lexi, it was doubly so. But instead of immediately stepping into the spotlight, she grew up largely away from it, shielded by her mother's careful guidance. Iman made sure her daughter's childhood was as normal as possible, despite the immense fame surrounding her family. This decision would prove pivotal, giving Lexi the chance to grow at her own pace rather than being defined by the media from the very beginning. Then, in 2016, tragedy struck. The death of David Bowie shook the world, leaving fans in mourning and his family navigating an unimaginable loss. For Lexi, only 15 at the time, the absence of her father was more than the loss of a global icon. It was the loss of a deeply loving parent. Yet in the years since, what has become clear is how much of Bowie's spirit lives on through her. Every glimpse fans catch of Lexi, whether through her art, her rare public appearances, or her reflections shared online, feels like a continuation of the creative force Bowie embodied. Through her, his story continues in a quieter but no less profound way. What sets Lexi apart is her refusal to be boxed in by expectation. Instead of becoming a replica of her parents, she has slowly built her own sense of identity. She has explored art, design, and self-expression, often sharing her creativity with a loyal following who admire her not simply for who her parents were, but for the authenticity she brings to her work. In a world that constantly compares children to their famous parents, Lexi's journey feels refreshingly independent. She honors her lineage without being trapped by it. She shows that carrying a legacy doesn't mean living in someone else's shadow. It can mean casting your own light. For Iman, watching her daughter grow has been bittersweet. She has often spoken about her decision never to remarry, describing Bowie as her one and only true love. That kind of devotion is rare, and it has inevitably shaped Lexi's understanding of love, loyalty, and strength. Through her mother's example, she has seen that love can endure loss, that it doesn't end when someone leaves this world. Instead, it shifts, deepens, and continues through those who remain. Lexi herself has become a living reminder of that truth, an extension of a love story that once mesmerized millions and still resonates today. What makes Lexi's transformation so compelling is the blend of vulnerability and strength she represents. Growing up in an age of constant social media scrutiny could have easily overwhelmed her. Yet she has chosen to remain private and deliberate about what she shares. This choice speaks volumes. It suggests not only maturity, but also an understanding that one's identity is not something to be consumed by the public, but something to be carefully nurtured. In a sense, Lexi has rewritten what it means to be the child of legends. She shows that you can embrace your heritage while still crafting a voice that is uniquely your own. For fans of Bowie, watching Lexi come into her own has been healing. Bowie's loss was felt like a tear in the fabric of culture, but through his daughter, there is continuity. Her artistic explorations, her quiet strength, and her presence in the world feel like threads of him woven into a new generation. And for admirers of Iman, there is equal admiration. Seeing a mother raise her daughter with such care and grace despite grief underscores Iman's enduring strength. Together, they embody resilience, showing that even in the face of tragedy, life can be rebuilt with beauty and meaning. Perhaps what strikes most is how Lexi's story reminds us that some love stories never truly end. Bowie and Iman's love was the stuff of legend, an unlikely pairing that blossomed into one of the most admired marriages in celebrity history. That story did not conclude with Bowie's passing. Instead, it found a new chapter through their daughter. Every step Lexi takes, every piece of art she creates, every moment she embraces her individuality, it all becomes a continuation of that love. Not in a way that burdens her, but in a way that enriches her life and honors her parents. Her transformation into adulthood is more than the story of one young woman. It is a reflection of how legacies endure, how grief can transform into strength, and how identity is built not just from inheritance but from choice. For those who loved Bowie's music, Lexi represents hope. For those who admired Iman's elegance, she represents resilience. And for those simply watching her grow, she represents the quiet but powerful truth that we are all more than where we come from. We are who we choose to become. Bowie may be gone, but through Lexi, his legacy lives on in a fresh, creative, and deeply human way. Her journey is not a replica of his nor of Iman's, but something beautifully distinct. She is both the product of a legendary love and the author of her own story. And that, perhaps, is what makes her transformation so remarkable. It feels like a reminder that love never dies, it only changes form. For fans, for family, for anyone touched by Bowie and Iman's story, watching Lexi step into her own light is like witnessing a continuation of something eternal. It proves that while some chapters close, others open, and the story, in all its beauty, goes on.